Coming in Facebook, coming in YouTube, getting ready to start my show called Jimmy Rants over on Instagram. Got a fun one in store for you guys here today, so come on in, make yourselves at home. Hope you're having a great Monday morning so far. Those of you who joined us last week, you know I was very sick on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so I am all the way better. Actually, I woke up Saturday morning and I could feel immediately that I was all the way better. Friday when I did the Jimmy Rants, they asked me anything. It was tough going because I was kind of on the tail end of this. And by the time I got to Friday night, I slept beautifully Friday night into Saturday morning and woke up Saturday morning feeling fantastic. So good to be back whole again. And I still don't know what that was. People are like, "You gonna go get tested for coronavirus?" I'm like, why? Like, whatever it is gonna run its course. If I got progressively worse, then I would deal with it at that time. What's up, Norma? What's up, Tracy? Thank you guys for being here. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Johanna. Yes, thank you for being glad that I'm well again. Yeah, I feel great. I'm rip-roaring ready to go with a brand new week of stuff. But today we're going to talk about what this does to humanity. So kind of an interesting topic, and it's something I don't think a lot of people are thinking about right now with everybody wearing masks. So I'm going to stick it on to start Instagram. Get a big breath before I put this on. All right, here we go. What's up, Kira? Is wearing masks dehumanizing us? Find out here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It's going to take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so be there, be square. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page. I see Mark and Kira just came in. Thank you guys for being here today on Jimmy Rants. We also have my YouTube followers over there. Thank you guys for watching the live stream over there, and thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay over here on IGTV on Instagram. So just check it out. As soon as the show is over, we put it right up. We also put it up over on YouTube. Usually about an hour after the show is over, it's up on YouTube. Just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And then finally, pop on over to the official website for this show. It is at jimmyrants.com. And when you're at jimmyrants.com, you can see all the past episodes of this show. And if you want to lend your support for what we do here, I am totally supported by the people that watch my work, and if you get value out of what I do here, and you feel like I do a pretty good job, that it enhances your life, please throw me some love back in the form of clicking on the Patreon link, and really a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. Okay, guys, I'm going to dip my toe on this Monday morning into one of the more controversial subjects that's out there. And it's not going to be the angle that you might think, because some people are saying just wear a mask. So I came on this Jimmy Rants today and I had the surgical mask on, and this is what you see when you go out in stores a lot. I see some people, especially older people, wearing the N95 masks. Some people just take like a shirt. This is one of my shirts, and so I just like wrap it up this way and close it in the back. Oh, I think I got some hairs. Ow. But they got this little neck gaiter thing going on. You can barely see them. It's like, hello. So you see people like this, and I'm gonna take it off so you can hear me. You see people like that walking all over the place when you go out in stores. And I am a very keen observer of people. And what I notice as I walk around in stores, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's like a Walmart, Sam's Club, any store, and the vast majority of people are wearing masks. You know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing sadness. I'm seeing despair. I'm seeing gloom on people's faces in their eyes. Now, you can't see their mouth expression, which a lot of things are expressed here. Most people I see have it pulled down below their nose, which kind of defeats the purpose of wearing the mask, but they pull it below the nose. You still can't see any of the mouth area. It's all covered. You can't see like the little dimples on their cheeks. All of this part of the body, the nose, the mouth, the cheek, is supposed to be emotive, expressive. Now again, you can see those things in people's eyes and get a little bit of sense of that. But what I'm seeing right now is a lot of despair in people's eyes. They are sad. And I think that sadness is rooted in what I'm going to talk about here today, because I don't think we're thinking about the ramifications of putting a mask on everybody. Now, I get it. Don't yell at me. We should wear a mask to help other people so we don't spread the coronavirus to them, and we protect them, and I protect them, and they protect me, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested in that debate today. Not really my concern at all. I'm talking about an ancillary part of that conversation, and it's the dehumanization effects that come from wearing masks. Like, did you even stop to think about before 2020 how much communication is done right here? How much you say things to people without ever speaking a word? You do. I got to tell you, one of the funnest parts for me is smiling at people, again, pre-COVID, where you smile at people. I don't think a lot of people get a lot of smiles from other people in general. Well, now everybody's got their mouths covered with a mask or some facial covering of some sort, and the smiles are gone. Even if you are wearing a mask, do you find yourself just not smiling at people anymore? If that's a natural inclination that you tend to do, I'll tell you what, it was kind of freaky for me, because what I did do when I would go in stores and I'm wearing a mask is I assumed my mouth was open. Now, I obviously had a covering on, but I assumed that my mouth was free and people could see it, and I was smiling at people galore. Now, sometimes when you smile so big, it gives you like a twinkle in your eye and people can tell you're smiling. But do you guys miss that? Do you miss seeing smiles? Do you miss seeing that unspoken language? Yeah, I think a lot of us are. And this is one of the ramifications when they put out this mask, everybody needs to be wearing a mask, a facial covering of some sort. I'm going, okay, that has a lot of ramifications. I know one of the biggest concerns that happened when that first happened was there were a lot of black people that said, I'm going to be assumed to be a criminal because you're covering my face, and there's this notion that a black person covering their face, they're a criminal. And so there was a lot of concern from that community because of that. A lot of parents of kids were like, you take away my kids' facial features, what happens if they get snagged? There's no identifiable kind of marks to be able to see the kid that got snagged. A lot of little things like that. And so people had their concerns. But on the day-to-day basis, are you finding, and if you're just joining us, we're talking about the ramifications of what everybody wearing a mask is doing to our humanity. And I'm making the argument that it's dehumanizing us. And I've got several articles by which I could read from, but this has been bugging me for a little while. Now, again, I get it. Please don't yell at me. Jimmy, we all just need to wear a damn mask and shut up already. And I'm okay, fine. That's great. That's not the point of what I'm talking about here today. I'm talking about we need to think about what are the mental health effects of seeing no smiles. What are the mental health effects of kids not getting to interact with other kids, and they don't understand, they're still developing some of those social skills? Are we removing some of that? Or are we going to stunt their emotional growth because we're telling them to dehumanize other people, and you get dehumanized? And You learn to live with faceless society. And guys, let's not pretend that this is going to just go away anytime soon. It's going away. We don't know. They told us it might be indefinite. I read one news story last week that said we could be wearing masks for the next 5 years. And I don't know about you guys, I don't know how many people is going to put up with wearing masks for 5 years. But that's what they're saying. And so all of this to say, we need to be thinking about these ramifications. And I pulled several stories over the weekend about masks and how it's hiding emotion that's always been there that we've maybe taken for granted. And yes, Kelly, no hugging has been brutal. Like, I'm used to going to a bunch of the keto conferences, health conferences out there, and everybody knows Jimmy Moore at these conferences is a hugger. I will hug everybody. I think last year at KetoCon, I probably hugged at least 300 or 400 people. And this year, I haven't got any hugs. And it takes its toll. It really does. So not touching people, but not seeing their expressiveness on their face is a huge problem. So this first article is from Time Magazine. What we lose when we hide our smiles behind a mask. I miss smiling. I don't miss it in the inspirational poster, the whole world smiles with me way. I don't miss it as another poster says, because I can no longer intimidate those who wish to destroy me. I don't miss it because happiness looks gorgeous on me, although I did put it in 3 very formative years of hard time in orthodontics, 20 months of braces, 6 retainers, so it looks at least marginally better than it used to. No, I miss smiling because it's one of the handiest utensils in the communication drawer, and my mask has locked it away. Look at what happened to us. Let's look at the events that transpired up to the people wearing masks today. We were, the new year came, and none of us were any the wiser that things were about to go crazy on us a couple months later. So March, we find out there's this coronavirus that's making its way around the world and probably going to be in America soon. Then in mid-March, it's in America, it hits cruise ships, it's starting to spread, and people are told to lock down. So we're locked down, we're down for about, depending on where you live, a few weeks to a few months. And we were told to socially isolate from one another. We were told if we go out to socially distance. I wish they had never used that phrase. I wish they called it physically distanced, because we're not socially distancing. We still need to be social creatures, but we're physically distanced from one another to try to protect each other from the virus, and then to wear the masks. And then all the Black Lives Matter stuff happened, and the riots that happened as a result of some of the tensions over the George Floyd thing. And it's just become this massive set of circumstances that has put us where we are today. And where we are today is a very dehumanized society. I don't know about where you live. I live here in the South. In South Carolina, some of the friendliest people you'll meet. And you go out in the stores and there's nobody talking, there's nobody happy, and it's just blah right now. And so the lack of facial expressions, the lack of communication, it's sad. And it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? Again, I get it. Wearing a mask, trying to keep this virus under control, blah, blah, blah. Get all that. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to talk about these issues of not being able to see people and their faces. Yes, it's just a facial expression, a deployment of the muscles, sometimes authentic, sometimes a placeholder because the real emotion we're feeling is not best expressed. But as humans, we learn at the age of about 42 days that smiling is a useful way of getting people to feel good about themselves as well as us. The world smiles with you actually works. We continue to refine the way we use that smile to communicate things from you're here to you're cute to you're not meant to take that seriously, although you kind of are, until we no longer have teeth. And now suddenly all those skills, all that practice are completely useless. We have lost this favorite communication gizmo just when we need more ways to connect than ever. Like, do you guys feel the disconnect that's happening in your own life? And I've talked about this before on many Jimmy Rants. Those of us who live alone, for example, it's very lonely. I have not seen very many people other than when I go out to stores, to grocery stores and different places to get things. That's it. And so it can be very tough on people when you don't have that human interaction, especially when you're social. But even when you go out, there's nothing here, so you don't really feel like you are around humans. Like it's almost as if putting this mask on makes you a robot. Now you can still see my eyes wearing this mask. They're clear as day, and I could express emotion. I could make all kind of emotive things with the eyes, but you didn't see anything here. And what's that doing to us? Humans aren't meant to have this covered all the time. Again, I'm going to keep repeating it. I'm not saying don't wear a mask. What I am saying is because we wear masks, what's happening here is lost. Now, I know there are some companies that have made clear masks so that this is open and you could see that. I also know there's some companies that you take a picture of your face and they actually cut out a little mold of your face, making a big smile so that when people see it, it'll make them laugh. So there are companies, I guess, trying to remedy this situation, but it's so bad. And yes, Intuitive Gut Health just made a good point. It's sad looking at kids wearing the mask. Like, can you imagine a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid right now wearing a mask in a store, seeing a bunch of other people wearing a mask in the store? They're sad. There's no joy there. They don't understand what's going on. And it's just becoming a normal part of their life. With what consequences, though? That's what I'm underscoring here on today's Jimmy Rants. Trying to interact with other humans without being able to smile is the facial equivalent of communicating via text message. It can easily be misunderstood. You think about text messages. When you send a text message and you don't use emoticons, emojis, whatever they're called, well, you can interpret certain statements in many ways. Plus, you don't know the tone. Are they angry? Are they happy? Are they being joking? What are they doing? All you read is the words on the page. Well, it's the same way if you're wearing a mask. You don't know what that person is thinking. You don't. So what's the ramifications of that? All of your expression and words lack context. People wonder, are they wincing at me? Are they grinding their jaw? Do you just have a lot of crow's feet? What was what you said an insult or a joke? I can't tell. According to a psychologist, Paula Neanderthal has studied facial expression extensively. There are 3 types of smiles: those that express pleasure at a reward or a surprise, like when you get to see your friends in person after a prolonged separation. That. Those that convey a desire to be friendly or at least non-threatening, which she calls smiles of affiliation. And then those that show dominance, like the one Dirty Harry gives when he asks a certain punk if he feels lucky. You feel lucky, punk? Her studies have shown that it's harder to tell the difference between affiliative smiles and dominant ones if you can't see the lower half of the face. In those situations, people have to rely on the other clues. She gives the example of walking a dog that suddenly starts barking at the passersby. A quick look at an unmasked person's face will confirm whether the passerby is smiling because he thinks he's much better with his dog than you are, or smiling because his dog is occasionally being silly. Behind a mask, you don't know. She predicts that as mask use stretches on, people may rely more on the context of the situation to tell them how to interpret the interaction. They're going to imagine that the context confers a reaction that is obvious, which of course will get everybody into a lot of trouble because people in our culture respond with high variability to the same context. Oh my gosh. Just look at all the viral videos of people arguing about masks in stores, and you will see this on full display. People are assuming things that may or may not be true. And that's part of the issue here. And it's part of the ramifications of dehumanizing people by covering up their mouths and their noses. You're not letting people see what you're actually expressing and who you actually are. And if you joined us late, yes, we're talking about masks, but in another context. What is universal masking of everybody doing to the humanity of our society? And humans were not meant to have their cheeks, their mouth, their nose completely obstructed from view of other human beings. We need all of this to help communicate. Communication, people think communication is just words. Words is a big part of communication, but interpretation of those words vis-a-vis expression on faces is another huge part of it as well. I have tried to compensate for the communication gap by enhancing all my other gestures. Upon approaching strangers in the street, I want to let them know I'm harmless and wish them well. In hard times, this message feels very urgent. Not being able to smile has forced me to wave or do a weird fighter pilot style salute. What, like a, I don't know. I don't do that, by the way. It's about as effective as talking more loudly to someone whose language you don't speak. But it's not just the recipient who gains from a grin. Smiling affects the person that smiles. So those of you wearing a mask going into stores and you see someone, maybe it's even someone you know, and you greet them with a big smile, it's going to show up as a twinkle in your eyes, and they'll see that. The problem is most people are like, well, they can't see my mouth. Why should I smile anyway? And so we're becoming dehumanized because your natural inclination would be to smile, and it is mine. When I'm in stores and I'm wearing a mask, I smile big. Like, I can't turn that off. That's just who I am. And so, but a lot of people are. They're turning it off in their head. And then what happens when we no longer have to wear the masks and we're back out in society? Will that automatic reaction to smile come back? Or will you have trained your brain to not smile at all? It's a real concern. Studies have shown that it enhances the mood that produced the expression and helps us recall happy times. Facial expression is not just output from the brain, but also feeds back to the brain and has some consequences for subjective experience. There is good evidence that smiling naturally has some effect on your ambient emotional state. In other words, masks may be making us much more morose. You know some morose people in your life? And we had those morose people long before COVID-19. This isn't something brand new, but it is something that I think we could see manifest if we have to continue wearing masks indefinitely for the near and far future. What's gonna happen? Like, we're already hearing about crime on the increase. We're already hearing about a lot more violence happening. We're already hearing about people having to take more mental health medications. Do we think all that's by accident, you guys? No, I think we all realize when you cover someone's face with a mask, it changes everything. Like, those of you who watch me on Jimmy Rants every day, you would recognize my eyes. But if I was nobody to you and you didn't know who I was, would you know who I was with a mask on? Could you tell? Like, I'm gonna do an expression on my face right now, and you tell me if you can figure out what expression it is. Okay, you ready? Now, you probably noticed that my eyebrows went up, my eyes got big, and my mouth was open, but you didn't see the mouth open, but you could confer it from the eyes. Now let me do another one. So again, you could confer it because the eyes were squinted and you could see that I was angry about something. Or if I'm just smiling, you probably didn't see that much unless you saw the cheekbones go up a little bit. You're losing all of that right now. I don't like wearing a mask. So you lose all of that right now because everybody's wearing a mask. And again, I get it. It's for the good of trying to protect each other in the midst of this pandemic. I get all that. That's not what I'm arguing here. But what I'm saying is we have to think about the long-term health, mental health, psyche, all kinds of ramifications of keeping a mask on people's faces indefinitely. It's going to have an impact. It almost never helps a situation to just tell people to smile, so I won't. But I'm going to keep beaming, even if it can't be seen, and sometimes it's not authentic. The whole fake it till you make it. Smile, not for the benefit of the person that you're smiling at, that they can't see it because you're wearing a mask. Smile for you. Your mental health needs it now more than ever. A fake smile, after all, is often given with good intentions, just as a mask is sometimes worn not to hide, but to protect other people. So that was in Time magazine. The New York Times also weighed in. Mask keeps us safe, but they also hide our smiles. It looks like face coverings may be here for a while, so how do we adapt to a world where facial expressions are invisible? And so people are stepping out into a changed world if they're not careful. If they are being careful not to spread the disease, they're wearing masks. That means many of us are missing a small but important social lubricant, your smile. In anxious times, we may want to put neighbors, mail carriers, store clerks, and others at ease with a smile. I do that. I regularly smile at people because I know, especially in retail establishments and restaurants and things like that, they're hard jobs because people are very demanding. And so having worked in both of those industries, I go out of my way to be syrupy sweet to all of those employees because I know how hard it is to work in a restaurant and people stiffing you with tips. I know how hard it is to be in a retail establishment and people lecturing you on something about the company that you have no control over. So I get all that. So I try to always be one of the positive parts of their day so they have at least something to remember good from their day. But if smiles can't be seen, how do you greet people? How are you supposed to reassure them? How do you flirt with a girl? Are there workarounds, a squint, a head tilt, a raised eyebrow? It's a conundrum that is stumping many people who want to be socially responsible and friendly. Coco Briscoe is a 38-year-old comedian in LA, wears a mask to walk her dog, and has been thinking about how to show friendliness to passing strangers. It's like you're both staring at each other and you're smiling. They can't see that you're smiling though, so it's just so very awkward interacting with people, and I think it's going to be that way for a while. Like, that's the weirdest thing when you're coming upon someone in a store, and normally if there was no mask on, you would do a little nod, you would smile, you would do any kind of gesture that would be a greeting to the other person that's nonverbal. That's being taken away right now. So are we all just going to go, and be dorks? It's a really fascinating kind of thing to think through a little bit here of where we're going with this and how much longer it's going to last. Dr. Josh Trebek, a 30-year-old emergency medicine physician, misses nonverbal cues that used to make his patients feel comfortable. I would want to see a smile to assuage someone's anxiety, show interest, or convey warmth to let a patient know that they can trust me, but suddenly that's all gone now. I almost try to be a little bit too expressive now just to compensate for the presence of the mask. Do you find you're smiling bigger? A lot of people aren't smiling at all now, but there's other people that went the other direction. Hey, and they're just trying to be that over the top. I don't know what the answer is. Because we want to be safe, but we also need to keep our mental sanity. And those social connections are so critical. Not everyone is an extroverted smiler. Some people find face coverings liberating. Yes, all you introverts, you must be loving covering your face because now you can blend into the crowd. Nobody sees you. It's so funny. Covering the nose and the mouth and the cheeks does so much to conceal who you are. And some people love that. I'll tell you who's really loving it right now is like celebrities who have to go out and, oh, well, yeah, I'll put all kind of, because they're used to kind of trying to hide their identity with sunglasses and other ways. But can you imagine? It's like, oh, nobody would even look crazy at that now. Everybody is covering their mouth and everything. So celebrities are probably loving it, not getting recognized when they go out. But introverts, this is your time. You're loving this. Women who are tired of being told to smile on the street, oh, they don't have to with a mask on. But masks not only hide grins, they also make it harder for people to display all the emotions, which we talked about earlier. Facial expressions of all kinds are important for human interaction. When we wear a mask, we're missing a major piece of that entire communication package. People can adapt their body language. They can nod or wave. Jasmine Gregory, a 29-year-old in North Carolina, said wearing a mask had prompted her to put in a little bit extra effort. Just make more of an attempt to laugh, show emotions, say what you're thinking, rather than just listening and nodding. Can I tell you, if you have to force that, that's unnatural. When you force that, you're basically telling your body, okay, you're not reacting strongly enough, so let me compensate and fake it till I make it by doing a over-the-top version of this emotion you're having me express. And what ramifications will that have? Are we training our brains that we need to be a lot more expressive than we would be under normal circumstances? Do we think when we pull the mask off and we go back to normal again, that we're going to stop and that our brain will forget that we overdo it? Like, it's going to be fascinating for anthropologists to pay attention to some of these things. Once coronavirus passes and we all take off our masks and we're no longer wearing masks universally anymore, what's going to happen with those human interactions when we got used to a year, few years, maybe a decade of wearing masks? What's going to happen? It's got to have some ramifications. There's a lot of reassurance on my end. I'll be actively smiling so they can tell by my eyes that I'm encouraging them and telling them you're doing a great job. This guy's a lawyer, so talks to clients a lot. Not all smiles are the same. Listen to this. There's different kinds of smiles. Some consider the so-called Duchenne Smile to be the gold standard. It's named after this French neurologist named Duchenne, who studied it. It's the kind of smile that lights up the whole face, engaging every major muscle to lift the corners of your mouth, but also raises the cheeks, and your eyes have that little twinkle in it. That's the Duchenne smile. The typical social smile, though, by contrast, is a lips-only display given to strangers and acquaintances. That. But its importance should not be ignored. A genuine Duchenne smile can light up a room, but social smiles do a lot of work in daily interactions. The problem is, social smiles are only right here. You can't see them in the eyes. The Duchenne smile, you see like a little twinkle in the eye. And you can see that even if you're wearing a mask. For many, masks can make life especially difficult. Deaf people, this is one that I've been thinking about a lot lately too. Deaf people rely on every visual cue they can find, like the movement of a person's lips, to communicate. Masks hide that. It even muffles speech, but versions with a window of clear plastic can't help with that. Racism also makes mask wearing a fraud experience. Some black men have voiced concerns about whether they'll be harassed or profiled if they're wearing a face covering in public. But masks are essential if we're going to slow the spread of COVID-19. Again, this is from the New York Times, especially indoors or in large groups. So while some might struggle with this new glitch in communication, it's worth getting creative about signifying warmth. All right, so I have a couple more stories here. This one is from medium.com. I see you, but I don't. How masks are altering human connection. They disrupt our ability to communicate and connect. There are ways to overcome a mask's necessary downsides. There were some pioneering studies done at the University of California, LA during the 1960s. A psychologist by the name of Albert Moravian sought to catalog and quantify the importance of spoken words, voice tone, posture, gestures, facial expressions, and all forms of verbal and nonverbal communication. The question at the heart of his studies: what do people rely on the most when they try to understand each other? His counterintuitive takeaway was that the stuff a person seems to matter much less, that the stuff a person says seems to matter much less than how that person acts, sounds, gestures, and emotes as they say it. In other words, they're not listening to what you're saying. They're seeing how you're saying it. They're seeing the context of what you're saying. They're listening to the tone of it all. A huge percentage of communication is nonverbal. Anyone who has ever sent a text or email that was horribly misconstrued by its recipient can understand this. But if I say you're being a jerk, but you can see my smile, you know I'm kidding. Take away that smile and the kidding goes away. That's true. I know some people, I have friends that when they text me, they literally put LOL after everything they write. So I can't always tell, because when you always use LOL, are you always laughing and joking at what you're saying? Or is that just a way to soften something when you have a criticism? I've always wondered. I need to ask that person. I'll be like, are you mad at me, LOL? Why do you act like you're writing something mean to me, LOL? Does the LOL just like negate any kind of negativity about it, where you can still get in the dig, but you kind of soften it? I don't know what the LOL does, but anybody else have that problem with people that text them? These days, the presence or absence of a smile is top of mind for academics. Masks are now mandatory. While there's a brief period of mask skepticism when the virus first appeared, public health officials are now in broad agreement. Masks reduce the likelihood of the virus transmitting, blah, blah, blah. Masks hide the words. Face masks hide what words can't say. They're creating lots of social challenges and friction. Words alone are not enough to communicate our attitudes, our feelings, our thoughts, and all the other stuff that's important for social and emotional bonds between people. It's the verbal and the nonverbal that is the total communication package. Masks are impeding more elements of communication than you even realize. There are some emotions expressed solely in the lower part of the face. Like if somebody's really sad and in despair, you can't see a quivering lip anymore. It's gone. Now, you might see some of the sadness in the eye, but you don't see the lip quivering if there's a mask over it. Disgust and contempt is also missing. The loss of these emotions in public spaces probably isn't a huge deal, but it is something to be considered. One 2013 study in a hospital setting found that patients perceived doctors who wore masks as less caring and less empathetic. At a time of widespread worry and tension, concealing social smiles behind a mask can contribute to more feelings of danger, isolation, and paranoia, which people are already having anyway. If you're watching the news coverage of everything that's happening, you're probably experiencing all those things. And then to have everybody wearing a mask, it probably just further is stripping away some of the humanity. When you walk past someone or have an interaction where they can't see that smile because of a mask, you're losing something that conveys to other people that you're friendly and polite and approachable. I feel for those people that are trying to date right now. Like, can you imagine trying to meet somebody new and everybody is wearing a mask? How are you supposed to communicate if you're a girl looking for a guy? How are you supposed to communicate with them in the midst of everybody wearing a mask? Because it's hard enough dating without a mask, much less now trying to get those people to connect wearing masks. So what are some of the repercussions of this lost nonverbal communication? Say you're walking past a security guard at a store or talking to a cop. These are situations where knowing about intentions is extremely important. The lack of full communication can have consequences. Minor misunderstandings can lead to a life or death altercation. Some news outlets have reported instances of black men getting harassed because they wore masks in stores. Well, they require you to wear a mask, so they wear a mask, but because you wear a mask, there's this perception that you're engaged in nefarious activity. What do we do with that? Masks also foster misunderstandings. We use lip reading without even knowing it. People may misconstrue what others are saying if they can't see people's mouths moving as they talk. And this is especially true for those who are hard of hearing, a group already at risk for anger and depression because of their condition, and for whom masks just exacerbate all of their challenges. So they offer, hey, we need to use more gestures, hand waving, blah, blah, blah. All right. That was another story. They said at least 5% of the world's population has disabled hearing loss. So they have to, so was that 1 out of 20 people need to see your lips moving because they can't hear you. And then it's got a bunch of facial expressions and how to read them. I don't think we need to do that. If you have social anxiety disorder, it could be a little bit hard. They say look for micro expressions that might be indiscernible to the casual observer, but you can pick up on things like their eyebrows. If they're raised and arched, that's surprise. If it's lowered and knit together, that's anger. If inner corners are drawn up, that's sad. The eyes, the only thing more telling than the eyebrows are the eyes themselves. If they're wide open, they're surprised. If they're intensely staring, that's anger. If you have crow's feet crinkles, it means you're happy. Dilated pupils can also indicate you're in fear or you're romantically interested. That's the funniest thing. Dilated pupils could be fear or romantically interested. So if somebody of the opposite sex you're romantically interested sees that you have eyes that are dilated, are they going to think you're scared or interested? And what if they're scared and not interested? A lot of miscommunication there with the eyes. Rapid blinking may signal someone who's dishonest or stressed. Again, you see somebody blinking a lot. Are you worried they're not telling you the truth, or are they just stressed? And then the mouth, this is what's missing right now. We miss a drop jaw for surprise. We miss the open mouth for fear. We miss one side of the mouth raised for hate. Corners raised for happiness. Corners drawn down for sadness. Lip biting when you're anxious. Pursed lips when there's something distasteful. Covering the mouth when you're hiding something. If you've got a face covering, you don't need to cover your mouth. So yeah, that's it, guys. Like, what are we doing by wearing masks? And again, please don't yell at me if you think mask wearing is a good idea. That's not the point of today's Jimmy Rants. What I'm talking about is let's look at what are those unintended consequences that are happening as a result of everybody wearing a mask. Are we thinking about the dehumanization effects of wearing masks? I don't think we are. And I think it's making people more and more sad, more and more disconnected from one another at a time in our lives when we need social interaction and connection more than we ever have before. This is bugging me. This has been bugging me a lot lately, that we're okay sticking a mask over everybody. And nobody's thinking about the ramifications of what that's doing to us. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Going to come over here to Instagram first, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. See what you guys have to say about this one. JimmyRants.com is the website. Mom Needs Coffee says, yes, I felt very disconnected from my community since mask wearing began. Like, literally, I haven't seen people in person. Now, I have an opportunity to go see some people. They're not real close to me. But I am going to go see some people soon. Later in the year, November, December, I'm pretty much going to take those 2 months completely off, just get away, decompress. This has been an extraordinarily stressful year for me, both professionally and personally. And so I need some time away. And I'm going to make it a point to go see people that I haven't been able to see this year. Kelly says, yes, I'm very positive and smiley as a human being. I find myself not doing it anymore, and it's depressing. Yeah. See, you think about that smile being for other people. Oh, it's for you. And that was one thing I loved in that story where they said, yeah, smile, because the benefactor of that smile is the person smiling. Yes, the other person gets benefit too, but the smiler gets a lot of those benefits. Thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here to my Facebook page. What's up, Facebook? See what you have to say about this one. Daryl says, I'm more vocal and wiggle my eyebrows more and laugh more. Wiggle your eyebrows more. Oh, baby. Here, let me see what that looks like with a mask on. Is that what you're talking about? Some people might find that creepy, so be careful with that, dude. Kim says, we have a mask mandate in Kentucky. I've noticed the sadness in people's eyes, and I also noticed that a lot of people won't even look at you. I'm a smiler by nature. I miss putting smiles on other people's faces. I'm right there with you. I am a smiler by nature, and I love making people smile. And it's so funny how easy just giving someone a smile, and they almost always give it back, no matter who they are. But you're right, with the mask on, people don't even want to look at each other because you're still, okay, am I 6 feet apart from this other person? So separation and then covering is this 1-2 punch of dehumanizing us. It really has. Norma says, I'm a retired nurse of 45 years. Wearing a mask is not a big deal to me. I must say wearing it in the heat is not comfortable as it is in the AC in hospitals. I agree that not seeing expressions is disconcerting. Love to give and see smiles. Yes, we need that. We need that. Like, that's the thing. If it was just this, oh, okay, you can take it or leave it thing, that's fine. No, we need the social interactions that happen with facial expressions. It's as much a part of humanity as breathing. And it's taken away from us right now. Kira says, I want a hug from you. Yeah, I hug everybody, girl. Like, I've talked to some friends that I haven't seen this year, and I was like, man, I want to get together, and da-da-da. So I said, but be prepared. If I hug you, I might not let go for a little while. Anybody else with me on that? Like, you've missed hugs so much that when you finally get to hug someone, you're probably going to hang on a little longer than the comfort zone is going to allow you to, but it is what it is. I think all of us need that. And that's another part of our humanity that's missing right now. Sharon says, I was one that got one of those hugs in Austin, Texas. Yes. Like I said, I love giving hugs. Norma says, wearing a mask is saving money for the females. You don't have to worry about wearing makeup, especially lipstick. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the girls on Instagram. I'm about to go out. I ain't got no lipstick on because, you know, #mask. So, yeah, that's a good point. Tracy says, I'm an introvert and I hate how the masks make me feel. I miss smiling at people. Yeah. Sometimes when you're an introvert, smiling is the only kind of power you have where you feel somewhat normal and in control. As an extrovert, I naturally smile and I naturally just go up to people. All that's gone right now. Just completely gone. Thank you, Facebook. Let me pop over here to my YouTube channel, see what they have to say about this. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Harpsy. Harpsy says, yes, smiles are completely missed right now. Once we have the vaccine, perhaps we should have an official pin to prove we are safe to be closer to no covering necessary, says Harpsy. Maybe. I miss hugging so much. Fortunately, I have my kids. Yes, Johanna. I've talked to a lot of parents and they're like, I'm so alone. I'm like, you've got 3 kids and a husband. Shut up. It's like, I don't have anybody here. And they're like, oh, that's true. I kind of take them for granted. So it gives them perspective about their woes. I miss saying hello and smiling to people, says Marianne. It's real. When everyone says, trust the scientists, but the science keeps changing, how do we know who to trust? Good question. Who'd be surprised if 5 years down the road, they started saying that wearing masks was not a good idea. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not getting into the mask debate, but the point is, it is, since we're wearing masks, it is causing more problems than I think we even realize. Shirley says, I'm an extroverted introvert because I smile at everybody I see, but I go home and hide away to recover from all that extrovertness that I chose to show. Oh, Shirley, I choose to do this because I know how a smile or positive face can help someone through their day. Well, that's very sweet that you do that. Janice, that is a general question. We do general questions on Ask Me Anything on Friday. So come back Friday and ask me about LDL, and I'll be happy to answer. Tufik says, Dr. Ron Rosedale said COVID-19 complications are mainly caused by leptin resistance. Well, he is the leptin guy, so I would not expect anything less from Dr. Ron Rosedale about that one. But yes, insulin resistance, metabolic disturbance, obesity, all of those things, they are finding a commonality when it comes to COVID-19. But are you guys concerned about this topic I brought up here today? Are we worried that we're losing some humanity because people are masking up? And I can sit here and stare at you. Did something happen right here? Is the visual of seeing someone without a nose and a mouth and cheekbones and everything, is that making it harder to connect with that human being? I would say yes. And then you got these people that take like a shirt or something and they're just going all Rambo on you. Yeehaw! Hello. What are we going to do? I'm worried because of the suicide rates. Yeah, Kelly, I don't think we're thinking about it from that term either. Yes, suicides are way up. Way up. Suicide's already the 10th leading cause of death in America. And I would not be surprised if it rises up the top 10 deaths in America, causes of death. Because especially our kids too, teenagers are killing themselves. This is what they live for. This is their everything. Their social life with their friends is literally everything to them. And we have stripped that from kids, making them wear masks, making them stay socially isolated. Churches can't really get together that much, and a lot of kids get together in the church format. Schools are coming in and staggered, and you're not seeing all your friends in the class. Like one of the rite of passages of being a kid, for example, is going with your high school class and you see all your classmates. Well, they're limiting kids to just 2 days a week in school, and they're only partially the kids in school that there would be. Like it's sad right now, that's for sure. That power of creating a response is so important to children. Without the responsiveness, we become depressed or aggressive. And Hillary, that's of just a normal kid. And adult too, by the way. That's just of someone who's normal. Can you imagine one that's already a little bit mentally challenged, a little bit emotionally challenged, and now they're having to wear a mask, and now they're having to do things that they are not comfortable with? This is not going to end well if we don't start to learn to adapt to this. And I so hate that phrase, the new normal. Harpsy says it's temporary. I feel safe for now. It disappeared. Hang on a second. When I see no mask, I know the person has selfish, negative thoughts. I wouldn't assume that, Harpsy. Like, the whole mask debate has gotten out of hand, if you ask me. If someone chooses to wear a mask because they are fearful of giving it to someone else and getting it themselves, then go out and wear a mask. If someone chooses not to wear a mask and they're taking all the appropriate precautions to not talk, keep their mouth shut, stay very socially distanced from people, and they just go about their business, they're not harming me as long as they're not doing destructive behavior. Okay? So this whole butting heads of, well, you're not wearing a mask, let me yell at you. I mean, that does no good. if I'm wearing a mask and I'm worried about someone else who's not wearing a mask opening their mouth and letting out droplets, oh my gosh, you're exposing me. Um, I think we need to rethink this of the encounters with people and butting heads. Let people make that choice. And if they act crazy, then the appropriate action could be taken to deal with those people. This whole, you must wear a mask, you must not wear a mask, and it's just, stop it. Like, it does no good at all. Let people make that choice. And then if you're that afraid of someone else infecting you with coronavirus, then stay home. Like, nobody is forcing you to go out. And I think that's where a lot of this mask debate just kind of, it's just silly to me, because let people make that choice. And if you're that scared, stay home. I never expressed my disapproval over masks. And that's good, Harpsy. If you have disapproval with someone because you're walking around with a mask on and they're not wearing a mask, and yet you see them trying to socially distance, physically distance, you see them keeping their mouth shut. I think what would bother me is if somebody had no mask on and then they're walking around the store and just like making a lot of noise and opening their mouth, droplets going crazy in the air. But if someone goes into a store, keeps their big fat mouth shut, stays physically distanced from people, goes out of their way to avoid other people, and they're not wearing a mask, how are they releasing droplets in the air? They're not. And I guess if they cough, they could pull up, and then that would be the same as a mask. Anyway, there's just a lot of strangeness in this debate over mask versus no mask. Let people live their lives the way they want to live them, and let's stop with all the hate and all the unnecessary drama that comes with the whole mask debate. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all trying to stay human. And you can't be human unless you're humane to other people. And you can't be human unless we can see that whole face eventually. So I, for one, want to see this ended sooner than later. And I think once we get there, maybe, just maybe, we can salvage what's left of humanity. Shirley says, before masks were mandatory in stores, I didn't wear one. I always stayed far away from people, never talked, got what I needed, then left. Now I have to wear a mask. People get way too close. Yeah, there is that comfort zone while you're wearing a mask, so there's no way I could get it. It's unfortunate that we have this false sense of security because the mask is on. Meanwhile, I saw a viral video from over the weekend in China. They are allowing the Chinese people to have pool parties. And you could see this pool party with just massive numbers of people all gathered around, a big concert stage, and it was just, and I thought we were in the midst of a pandemic, and it was in Wuhan, China, that was happening, and I'm going, all right, I guess they're humanizing again because they're not worried about this anymore. Meanwhile, here in the United States, it's a different story. So, to be continued, because the ramifications of this are not even close to being over. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. Go follow me right here on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live, just like all the amazing people that came in today. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page as well as on my YouTube channel. So thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. We do go live 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. So mark your calendars. I'm always here unless I got sick last week, but I let you guys know that I wasn't going to be here. Watch it on replay. You can watch it right here on IGTV. Right as soon as this is over, we will pop it up there. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. So type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And hey guys, if you like what I do, pop on over to the official website of this show, JimmyRants.com. All the past episodes are there as well, but there is a Patreon link and a PayPal link. Some people are like, well, I don't want to be a Patreon, but I want to give you a one-time donation. How could I do that? So now there's a PayPal link. You can just click on that link. It'll take you straight to my PayPal, and you can give a one-time donation. I had 3 or 4 people send me money. They're like, go buy some red meat. So I have a refrigerator full of steaks now. So thank you to those people who did that. Or you can support my Patreon, where you get all kind of little perks for being an insider with my work. And I really appreciate all my supporters of what I do here, because I like doing Jimmy Rants. Can you tell? I love doing Jimmy Rants. All right, guys. Well, that's it for now. I will be back again real soon. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye. All right. Set that to the side. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. I think I saw some comment coming over here. We support you, Jimmy. Well, thank you, Harpsy. Appreciate that. Thank you, Debbie. So today's a little bit of a slower day for me. Thank you, Shirley. A little bit of a slower day for me. Sometimes on Mondays, I hit the ground running really fast. This just happens to be one of the slower ones. There's always stuff to do. So it's not like slow doesn't mean I'm done for the day. No, still got a lot of stuff to do, but I do enjoy it when I don't have to go so hard during the week. And over the weekends, I tend to slow down naturally anyway. So we will take it. All right, guys, let me pop off of here for now. Thanks for being here. We'll see you again soon. Bye. Bye, YouTube.